apologize for being very late tonight, but it does happen occasionally. We tried to go as fast as we could, and we didn't make it. So welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education for Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and the media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. And advance notice required therein has been provided. This meeting of the Board of Education of the Somerset Hills, formal action will be taken, and the public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any correspondence?
None.
No correspondence. Next on the agenda is the report of the superintendent.
It's like that kind of night. Coming over, Bob.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm going to forego the superintendent's academic report. I'll report out next month because we're already so late and we don't want to keep anybody, and we have quite a few recognitions tonight. So we're going to move right to our first recognition. Where is Mr. Jake Rosen? All right, so come on. Is that Ms. Conkley with you? Yes, I thought I saw you. So why don't you come up? And I'm going to let you do the honors. Well, I could do it.
Go ahead. I'll fill in if you miss anything.
Yeah, but I just want to say, though, that I think we should proclaim this year the year of literary accomplishment. Seriously, because you've been here, is this your third or your fourth trip here this year?
Third, I think.
Yeah, for all the accomplishments between the newspaper and the yearbook and our literary magazine. We're so very, very proud. And thank you, Jake, for letting us know that the article that you wrote for the Crimson was actually published as an editorial in the Bernardsville News. So yes, we thought that was worthy of recognition at a Board of Education meeting, because we know as any budding journalist wants to be published. So, and more than the high school newspaper. But I also would like to, and I do want you to speak, Heather, but I do want to say, though, Jake, just from personal experience, because I remember when you were being mentored by the newspaper editors from last year, and they were teaching you how to do everything, and they were showing you, and you were the one who was in training. And now, look at you. You have really taken over, and I'm sure that you're in touch with them still.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're extremely proud of the journalists that you have become and how you have taken the reins and guided the newspaper. And I know that you are responsible, along with last year's group, putting the Crimson online. But now to see Evelyn, right? Evelyn?
Erica?
That's supposed to be. So I'm sure that she's very proud of you up at Syracuse, that now not only did her dream become fulfilled with it being online, but now it's flourishing. And then the ultimate compliment to have your article published in the Bernardsville News. So we congratulate you and tell you that we're extremely proud. I'll let Ms. Humphrey.
Yeah, Jake has really taken charge of everything newspaper related in the school. He single-handedly really launched that online site and really maintains it a lot himself. And he really is a self-starter in that sense, and he really is ambitious in wanting that to be something that's really successful. So he guides also, too, the journalism classes co-seated. We have Intro to Journalism, Advanced Journalism, and Publications all in the same class. So he's able to actually mentor them on the spot as they are intro writers and kind of help them and work with them. We have a student teacher in the class now, and the student teacher comes from a magazine publishing background. It couldn't have been any better. So now Jake has really the layout of this paper, we just got an edition in today, so we'll be distributing it tomorrow. We've really changed the layout of it. Jake has designed the new cover of it, a lot of the new layouts. He just goes in and plays, and he has a vision, and he does it, and I can't commend him enough for all the work he's put into all the publications he works with. And we're still waiting for the critique for the newspaper. We sent that to American too, so there might be something else, but we're still waiting for that one. But I can't say enough nice things about Jake and the work he's done with the program, and in recognizing too that I'm going to be lost next year without him because he's been my right hand for a couple of years now. So
Where are you going next year?
I don't know yet. I'm still waiting from Syracuse, and I'm going to visit Maryland on Monday. And I visited Elon last weekend, so it's pretty much between those.
he's been accepted.
Very good. Congratulations,
Thank you.
and we are extremely proud of you. For your fine tutelage, we thank you also, and also for coming out this evening. So. And the next recognition, where is the coach? I see him. Yes. Coach, this is your second time with us. We're recognizing our swimmers this year again. So we have.
Okay,
Yeah, but you have to come over there.
I will stand over here. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Wood, for giving me this opportunity to brag about the swim team. I don't know if all of you know, but I've been the out-of-district coach for Bernards High School swim team for 28 years. I just finished my 20 years. Yep, I'm that old. So what I want to do is brag to you about the swim team this year. It was a remarkable swim team. I think last year when I was here talking about some of our graduating seniors, I would have lamented the fact that we were graduating 10 girls. The boys I was pretty confident about. We didn't graduate that many, but I was very sad to lose not only 10 seniors, but Tatiana Prendello, who, if you know, was just the most amazing swimmer. Then this summer I was fortunate enough to join the Bernardsville Summer Club staff and coach them. And I got very excited to find out we had 5 girls coming in as freshmen, plus a couple of other boys that were a surprise to me. And this swim team was actually our most successful team in all of our 28 years. If you look at the fact that we brought 9 swimmers, 5 boys and 4 girls, to the Meet of Champions. The Meet of Champions is the all-group, all-district championship meet for the best swimmers in the state. And so I'd like to introduce to you our swimmers. I'm going to start with the boys first, just so I can give it a little bit more time for Megan. Maybe she'll show up. Senior Ben Baxter, come on up. Ben is one of the captains of our boys team. He's I've coached 359 swimmers at Bernards High School. He's one of 3 of them that were MVP for all 4 years of his career.
Wow.
He is an all-state swimmer, finishing 15th out of all of those swimmers at the Meet of Champions in the 100 fly, set a new school record in the 100 fly, and also has scored the most points of any boy at Bernards High School in all of 28 years. I know he's swimming in college. I'm not sure yet where, but he's definitely going to be adding greatly to one of those lucky swim teams in college. The rest of the medley relay that placed 21st, I'm going to bring up breaststroker Ryan Van Dyke. Ryan is our number 2 swimmer all time in the breaststroke. Next year as a senior, I'm sure that record's going down. Butterflyer Julian Baxter. And freestyler Alex Keel. These 4 guys right here are the 21st fastest medley relay in the state, and they are just off the school record. Of course, with Ben graduating, it's going to be a tall order for next year's crew, but I'm confident we can do it. They have the 3rd fastest medley relay time in Bernards history, and Matt Voigt, come on up. If we replace Matt with Alex, they have the 4th fastest medley relay in Bernards history. Matt, as a freshman, has our 4th fastest 500 freestyle time ever, and so he was one of those big surprises that we scored for incoming freshmen. So those are the boys. For the girls' side, unfortunately Megan's not here. She's a junior, oh, and one other thing. Ryan, as a 3-year swimmer has the most points of any boy for 3 years of swimming. So you can talk about how many points you have to score to take this guy down. Okay. Megan set 2 new school records, 100 backstroke, 100 butterfly. She was the number 7 swimmer of all the swimmers in the state for the backstroke. She's not here, unfortunately, because she's training with her team. But let's bring up the rest of the medley relay. Breaststroker Jessica Snyder. Jessica made our top 5 list. She has the number 4 time in the 100 breaststroke as a freshman. Freshman butterflyer Malika Negi. And freshman freestyler Caroline Casella. And so there are standing in front of you 3 freshmen who made it to the Meet of Champions. Very rare for freshmen to get there. There are 3 out of 8 freshmen that we got that I didn't know about last year when I was crying the blues. So things look really good for Bernards High School. The boys won the conference championship and the girls were tied for 2nd. Thank you. I'm very, very proud of these swimmers. Oh, one last fact that I love about these swimmers. Everyone here in front of you has a 3.4 GPA or higher, and almost everyone is a scholar athlete, which is 3.5 or higher. So while maintaining their club swimming of about 2 hours a day, plus their high school competitions, they're still getting what would be in college dean's list types of grades. So congratulations to all.
And I think though we need a round for the coach because number 1. Not only are you successful, but you should get the award for endurance for 28 years. So, but we do recognize and appreciate your value, Coach, because we all know that the importance of coaching. So we thank you, and even though you did cry the blues, you seem to maybe were crying wolf. So we're on to that now. So, yes, congratulations to everyone. So at this point, we will say the athletes and the parents and the academics, which are all of you apparently, you can leave if you would like. Otherwise, you could stay for the rest of the budget or the hearing. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. And we do have one more. Jen's going to do the recognition for chef.
Yeah. No, we got it. We got it. Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, right. He's a great meat.
Oh, I let them go because we're so late.
So I think it's on. I'd like to introduce Jansen Tropay. What is your official title, Jansen?
Grant coordinator.
Grant coordinator, right. So we work together on the chef grants, and I think you want to give us some information about those grants that we'll fund through chef, and then also some success of the chili cook-off, right?
Right. Thanks, Wendy.
Yep.
Thank you for having me. First of all, wanted to just reflect a little bit about last Saturday night's chili cook-off, which I do wish everyone else had heard about. Just wanted to thank the community for coming out. It was a huge success. We sold out. 350 guests, 20 chefs. We had a lot of winners. They're on our website. Please check it out. Local community members, businesses. Really good time. No major problem. It was great. Earned a lot of money for the district. So we're very proud of that and pleased to do it as often as we can. And those funds that we earn through that go directly to our major initiatives and our grant program, which I am the coordinator for. So twice a year, as many of you know, we have a round of grants applications that are accepted. We have a lot of grants. I think we had 17 grant requests come in this session for the spring from all schools in the district, and we are happy to say that we funded something at every school. And just I believe the board has a list of all the grants, but just to give you a quick sampling, we have supplied math kits for the Bedwell Elementary. We have 2 different art murals going up, one in the middle school, which is going to be a contest for the whole community, which is really cool, staff, students, etc., and then one in the front entry of the high school. And we're excited about a lot of different things. One in particular would be the Engineers Teaching Algebra program that we're funding in high school. So that's just a little preview, but it totals $11,865. And for the year, we've given $20,720. So we're pleased to hand over this check yet again with my little list here. And I'm happy to speak with anybody about the program, about the funds, about what we do, how we do it. So here you go. Your gift.
Thanks, Jensen.
Oh.
A photo, yes.
Not a big check, but thanks for your help.
I know, right? We got.
I don't have the giant check.
We got us on film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jensen.
Can I say something in recognition as a thank you? Sure. We had a play also going on this weekend, Guys and Dolls. I don't know if anybody went. It was amazing. Our kids are so talented. I know you guys are all like packed there and whatnot, but it was Saturday night and I was blown away. Michael had a chaperone, so I had chaperone. But I have to say, I mean, I actually had tears in my eyes seeing how unbelievably gifted our students are, and it took my breath away. So just putting it out there, and if anybody gets an opportunity to see our kids perform, it was a shame that it was on the same day as the chili cook-off, but it's okay.
Yeah, spring is busy.
Yes, so I guess it was a conflict in the scheduling or something on the calendar, but it's all right. These kids were phenomenal.
Okay.
That's all I got.
The next item on the agenda are public comments. These are comments for anything that's on the agenda. There'll be a second time for public comments at the end of the agenda. Anybody has any public comments on what's on the agenda, please come forward. Seeing none. We'll do approval of the minutes from our public action meeting on February 17th and the executive session on February 17th.
I'll second it.
Okay.
The corner of the building,
You should all have received.
I didn't want to try.
You should all have received a revised copy of the agenda this evening. Not the agenda, it's the minutes. There was a few corrections we found this week. Are there any other comments on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yeah.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazola?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next item is the Finance Committee. Since I'm chairman of that, I will give the report. We met on March the 1st. Mainly, we talked about the school budget for next year. We talked about staffing, capital improvements, making sure the dollar is balanced. And Nancy's going to do a...
That was the cue.
You're doing a PowerPoint, right? She's going to do a PowerPoint, so I'm not going to explain it, because she is. But you'll be happy to know that we're only raising taxes for 2% right at the cap. On your agenda is the rough numbers. We're going to have a public hearing next meeting, which is April 27th, for anybody who, in the public, once it's posted out there, they can come back and make comments. That'll be at the end of April. So do you need to turn the lights down?
Dot's go.
Okay. I'll move out of the way.
Just to catch my breath.
we've been running since 5 o'clock around here, so it's been a busy night. Welcome, everybody. This is the introduction of the budget, the 2016-2017 budget. As Mr. Baker was saying, the Finance Committee has been meeting for several months. The board has received copies of the budget and the detailed budget book and all the work that goes behind that. Prior to that, the administration develops detailed budgets, and we look at that at the administrative level, make revisions, and what you're looking at now is the introduction. Just to be clear about the process, after tonight, I will be putting together the state format, and that's due on Tuesday. We do have between that date, the date of the submission, and then the county office reviews it. They may make some changes, recommendations to us, and then we present those changes back to the board and to the public at the April 27th meeting. After the April 27th meeting, if the board approves it, then that's the final budget. So here we go. Okay. Here are some highlights. The primary objective of the 2016-2017 budget is to enhance curriculum and instruction to support the New Jersey standards, next generation science standards, and college and career readiness practices, and to provide professional development to support implementation of those initiatives. Definitely curriculum-based budget, and the professional development, lots of, wherever we could, we've changed quite a number of things to support those curriculum initiatives. We've added professional development in many different areas, for us, especially for next year. Some of the specifics, next generation science standards, as mentioned. Don't ask me what those are, but if you want to know, where's Jen?
I'm back here. I can answer any questions.
Any questions on that? I'm not the curriculum person. Connected math, grades 6 to 8. High school English curriculum, we've made a lot of changes in that. K-12 technology programs, and continuation of the Columbia's Teachers Writers Workshop. More professional development for technology integration into the curriculum. And we have added a world language teacher for grades K to 4. That's going to be very exciting and very helpful to the elementary school. Very much needed for quite a long time now, so we were able to do that this year. The expansion of the Barnard's High School program for students with multiple disabilities. That program already exists, but once the new area that was in the referendum is completed, they'll be moving into that new area, and we'll be able to do more expanded programming with those students that have already been identified in the district. Instructional materials and other support for English language learners. We are trying to help our students with limited English language, and there are a variety of materials and support that's currently being studied. We don't have a firm recommendation yet. The curriculum committee and the administration, of course, are looking at what we can do next year to improve, or just to be able to help that population. There's a program called Achieving Childhood Excellence, called ACE, for students with special needs at Bedwell, and that will be starting next year. And we are adding a director of K-12 guidance. Those are those highlights. I'll just go on to the financials, and then we can come back to any questions. In the capital projects, as I said earlier, we did pass the referendum, so those will be the major projects that we're focusing on next year. But in addition, there are walls in the old section of Barnard's High from 1931 that are showing some signs of leakage. They need some serious waterproofing, if you will, some repair. Those have been identified, and those will be addressed this summer. We have talked for many years about adding an emergency generator at the Bedwell School and the Bernardsville Middle School. We have an emergency generator here at the high school. And where we've noticed this problems the most is at the middle school. For whatever reason, that roadway always seems to, there's always problems up there. So, but this will be, it won't be a full-scale generator in the sense that every single item will be backed up. That would be far too expensive. So this is to keep systems operating, and we can keep school open. It may not have every single electrical outlet backed up by an emergency generator, but we'll be able to keep the school open, and we'll be able to keep all the support systems of the school, so keep pipes from freezing, and we'll be able to keep technology going to some degree. And we are replacing the hot water heater at the middle school, much needed. And we've included funding to fund the capital reserve account as we have in prior years. Okay. Budget summary, the proposed budget for 16-17 includes total general fund, I'll just skip to that, of $37,203,072. That's a 2.5% increase on the expense side over the prior year. Special revenue and funds, that is funds received from the federal and state government. Expenses and revenue always match, so it's a fully funded program. No change in that, no change projected, there may be small variations. But debt service, there is a slight increase that reflects some of the new debt that we just incurred. Has a very limited effect on the tax rate though, because it's on the total taxes, that's a very small amount. So total expenses are increasing 2.5%. The local tax levy, so that's the tax portion of the budget, because the budget is made up of both taxes. The other major source of revenue is tuition income from Bedminster, and the third major source is state aid revenue. So this is the tax portion, is all, both the general fund taxes and the debt service fund taxes are projected to go up 2%. We have a projected enrollment. As you can see, the enrollment is on a slight decline, and that's what we have been saying for several years, either even or slightly declining or slightly increased. Some years it's going up one, down one. This is exactly in line with what our demographer has projected over the years, so there's no surprises here. This is where we expect it to be, and this is where we are. Different from built, grade to grade each year, but pretty much in line with expectations. The tax levy by town, and this is done on a calendar year basis, because taxes in the municipality are done on from January through December, whereas on a school year, the taxes that I show you are from July to June. So on a calendar year basis, broken out by town, Bernardsville is increasing by 1.6%, Forest Hills by 1%, and Peapack Gladstone by 2.8%. And the reason that this varies by town is that the allocation by town is based on two different things. The primary, 95% of the allocation is based on enrollment. So if there's a slight increase in enrollment from one town to the next, that town will bear a greater, show a greater increase. And Peapack Gladstone wins this year.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the math major here, but since I represent that town, I have to ask the question. So you mean to tell me that we had a baby boom happen?
We had
a
four
lot
additional
of.
students.
Yeah, only 4 additional
So
students.
those
With,
4
additional
kids
will
cost
affect
us that
Yeah.
much more
Yeah.
money?
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
and it's the new development that went in,
Oh,
probably.
so you should pay it, it's on your
It's
side.
amazing. It's not really as much of a great, the dollar value may not be as much, but on a percentage of the base, which is smaller, it's 2.8%, whereas Bernardsville, it's a bigger base, so it's
I
1.6%.
just need to get in case anybody asks.
Case
They will.
They will ask, call Lou.
The budget components, this may be hard to see, but it's really just for pictorial purposes, so I'll tell you what it says. Salaries are the largest component of the school district, of course, that's what we're about. We're about providing a service, which is teaching students. Salaries represent 60% of the total budget. Benefits represent 16% of the total budget. That's not just health benefits, that includes things like Social Security, workers' compensation, all of those things that are necessary to keep that related employee costs. Tuition is included in there as well. The greatest piece, of course, is health benefits. Special education tuition and services is 10%, and I just want to point out that that does not include, we have separate special education classes for multiply disabled. That doesn't include regular salaries and benefits, because we don't want to, in other words, they're just considered part of our total population, of course. So that doesn't reflect all special education teachers. That only reflects the additional services where if we have to send a student out of district, and if they have to provide additional services. So those are separate line items on the budget. So we're not trying to separate that population. Their educational piece for all of the students that are integrated in our school are part of the whole salary and benefit structure. This is only additional costs for students that we send out of district, and things like where they need extra therapy or child study team evaluations, those kinds of costs. But it was a significant enough piece, and we did the same thing last year, but it is actually growing as a portion of the total budget. And it's important to realize that, just so that we're aware of how we use our resources. Transportation, 6%, it's usually constantly about 6%, and all other is 8%. Total salaries and benefits equal $28.2 million, which represents 75.9% of the general fund budget. And I think that's it. Any questions? And if they're curriculum or otherwise, I'll direct them to Dr. Wood or
Nancy, are you
Jennifer
going to put
Schaffler.
that on the website?
Yes. Definitely go to the website. Yes, Ms. Gill.
When we were looking at the pie chart, transportation was 6%. And is that considering all of the transportation, including special ed?
Yes, it does include special education for special students going out of district placements.
But then any personnel that might be required to be on the buses, their salaries are reflected in.
If they're our personnel, then they're in the salary and benefits. But most of our special education transportation, in fact, most of all of our transportation is outsourced, so that is on a separate number in the budget.
Okay.
So it's not in the, mostly it's not in the salaries and benefits. We only have a few in-house transportation people.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
Under, there is not, I want to apologize to Chef, there's no motion to accept their check, but we'll get it on next month's agenda.
Pardon me. If it doesn't go off, then it will drive you guys crazy. It's not going off.
Pulling it down?
Oh, there we go. Yes, I'm sure.
There you go. So I like to move resolutions 1 through 12. And there's nothing on the agenda.
No, there is.
No, there's one there.
But there's two and
And
they're
the
numbered
numbered
wrong.
one.
They're numbered
1 through
wrong.
14.
Oh, I see, so there's the 13 and 14 on the addendum.
Addendum.
I'm sorry. So motion, resolutions 1 through 14, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mrs. Coons. Any discussions on any of the items on the agenda?
I have a question. Would, on the addendum, would number 5 be something we could discuss at that time? Figure out.
Facilities?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not under finance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's under-
So we'll wait till the.
Lou, and he's going to report on that.
Okay.
He's got all the information on that. So,
With help from Nancy.
so anyway, we'll do a roll call.
Okay, I'll make adjustments for, if you have to abstain, I'll make adjustments after the fact, so I'm just gonna call your name now. Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Next is the curriculum committee.
Okay, I'm going to just give a short report. We just met at the beginning of March, and we had Scott Nigel and Mike Corbett come and present. We were just having some further discussions about the BHS PA program, the physical education. And that was really in response to just sort of looking, remember I've been talking before about you know, how a lot of kids are doing that summer program right now, and we were just sort of looking at staffing and different things like that. And at this point, there wasn't really enough kids to do any sort of staff reductions at this point, but we were just going to sort of keep on monitoring that for the coming year. You know, it seems like every year there's an escalation of students that are taking physical education over the summer, so we're just going to keep our eye on that and keep on monitoring that, but there's not going to be, there's no recommendation from the committee to make any changes at this point. The other thing was I just wanted to inform everybody there's a speaker series that Michael Catelli and Jen have really been mastering. There's 2 speakers. It's our distinguished speaker night. I think that was in your, did they get that in our board packet? We'll put it in the board packet just to make sure that it's going to be publicized. I'll actually give this flyer to Jake over there if he wants to publish it in the newspaper. Feel free. It's Dr. Lily Edwards, from a professor from Drew University, and she's talking about civil rights to Black Lives Matter and how do we get here. And then the other speaker, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, Mr. Okabe. All right. And he is a senior project manager at Axion Corporation. And his question is about big data. You know, do we still have privacy? And that's sort of a very topical thing that's really sort of current going on in the news. So hopefully parents will come. We're trying to get some students to come as well too. The community at large is also available to come to it. That's April 5th. And that's from 6:30 to 8:30. And it's free. And it's in the community room. So that will be great. Mark it on your calendar. And I'll make sure that the board, but that's okay.
Maybe social studies teachers have it?
They do. They're Megan Catelli.
It's created by the socialist
Yeah,
department.
so they really worked on that. So credit to Michael Catelli for doing that. The other thing we did was we did an English language arts review and action plan. We just reviewed our, we're going to talk about it actually at the next meeting, but it was just sort of a review of really what we've been doing district-wide and particularly what we've been doing at the high school because there were some additional changes being made. So the committee just sort of got that report. I'll report on that next time. And just to sort of review that, just to see the progress we've made. We've made a lot of progress. We really feel very strong with our literacy program, Teachers College at the lower school and at the middle school, and the writing program that we've had sort of help. Emily Mitzner, remember we hired her, was it last year I think we hired her? 2 years?
She's been with us 2 years.
And so she's been really working with the staff as well too. So we really feel that there's a real focus on writing at the high school. And that's key no matter what profession you go into. If you're a banker, if you're a trader, if you're, an Indian chief, whatever you're going to do. It's very important to be able to write. So we really feel that there's a lot of attention being put forward with that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I might have said it too, maybe I mentioned the last name. About at the middle school, we're going to do the whole tournament like we did at the high school for summer reading. I think I mentioned it last time, but they're going to do that at the middle school this year too. So that, again, that's part of the whole program. So that's all I have to say, believe it or not. And I'm going to put forward one through 2? One and 2? Do you have anything else now? 1 and 2. So I want to put, and these are just some professional development that our staff is taking. I just want the board to notice that, when we say we're spending money on curriculum and instruction, we are spending money on curriculum instruction because look at all the money we're spending for people to go to and I applaud the teachers because this is their time. They don't have to do this. They choose to go to the Teachers College Reading Summer Institute. Janice Virtue, in her prior life, did that. It's a fabulous program, so we really want to applaud the staff for taking advantages. And congratulations, pat yourself on the backboard. You did a good job. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, providing education to teachers, and that's what we're about. So
I second her motion.
so that we can talk about it.
Oh, by the way, in the NJEA bulletin, they're acknowledging all board members celebrating that. So, what was that? I can't vote on N.
Okay, so
Nancy.
So did we get a second for the?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's right. Just like, I'm sorry, okay.
Sorry, I'm supposed to.
Any discussion on curriculum? Seeing none, roll call.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes, with the exception of Michael on N.
Got it. Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next is facilities and operations. Lou?
Yes, we had a meeting earlier this evening, and some of the things we discussed is that the E-rate project, which is on the agenda. It's for our network equipment, which is about 10 to 15 years old, and we have a new funding source for that. So the replacement was $139,318, of which we've received the reimbursement, or is that the right word, reimbursement for the E-rate of $83,591, so the total cost to the district will only be $55,000.
I think that's reversed.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
The E-rate was 55.
The E-rate,
and
okay,
yeah.
the E-rate is a 55,000, and the cost of the district will be the 83,000. It's a reimbursement, and the way the contract is written up, it's contingent upon us receiving the E-rate. So we will not go forward with it unless we're going to receive that reimbursement. So that's the way the contract's written. We also discussed our use of facilities. We have the Facilities and Operations Committee is going to look at it a little further. There's some gray areas, some questions about quasi nonprofit organizations that want to use the facility. So we're going to do a little more investigating and maybe tighten up the policy, or tighten up what we think we should recommend to the policy to change the policy. So there isn't any confusion as to what can be considered a profit or nonprofit organization and using our facilities. Also, parking at Bernard's High, we've had a request for Homes of Distinction to use our parking lot. And we've done this in the past for other organizations, and we'll get the necessary insurance certificates and waivers that we require for them to use the parking lot for their whatever it is that they're going to do to.
They only want to use it for the volunteers.
Only volunteers, yeah. So it's not just for the public. So we're asking for you to approve that. We have on our agenda, on the addendum, and I think that's numbered incorrectly. Those should be 5 and 6, I believe, on the addendum. But number 6 is awarding a contract for asbestos abatement. As you remember, we've approved a meeting or two back the demolition of the old auditorium, and as part of that demolition, they found that there was asbestos in there. So we're going to need to approve the contract to abate the asbestos, and that'll be done over the spring break when no one's in the building. And so we're asking you to approve that as number 6 on the addendum. And as far as the cost is, we still will be under what we thought it was going to be, because some of our bids that came in under budget, so it's not an additional, I mean, it's an additional $68,000, but we've saved money on when we went out for the bidding process, so it's still money that we thought we were going to be spending on the project. And this was the lowest out of 4 bids that we went out for. And just an update on the referendum projects. The Borough of Bernardsville gave us an easement for the Bedwell sidewalks that we're going to be putting on the Bedwell campus down to the street, and that's on borough property, so we've got an easement from the borough to do that, but we will need to go to the planning board for approval for the sidewalk, so, and those improvements. So we will be going on, hopefully on the next meeting or so, planning board meeting, so we can still do this during the summer and have it done before school opens. And that's my report. So I'd like to move motions 1 through 6.
I have a question.
Let's do 1 through 6, and if we get a second, then we can have questions. Okay. Not questions.
So, we had baseball games on Saturday, and
There
I
is
got
baseball, that there was.
bombarded by questions of what's going on with the
Bleachers.
bleachers, yes, so I don't know quite what the answer is.
I can update.
Yeah,
I need an update.
I saw on our facilities report that they were going to be scheduled.
They're on order, they should be in within a week. They probably will not be here by this Saturday. We could not move equipment across the field because the conditions, the field was never frozen for a long enough period of time to do what we needed to do to move heavy equipment across the field. We didn't want to ruin all the work that we already did, because we spent a lot of money on getting that field in the great condition that it is, or better condition, I should say. The bleachers will be in within a week and will be placed as soon as the field is strong enough to support the equipment and not ruin the field.
Are these regular games? Are they the regular season already?
We had 2 games on Saturday.
It's probably.
Fields were great. I mean,
Just when you want it to be frozen, it's not frozen. You
Yeah.
can't make up for the weather. Just when you want it to snow, it doesn't snow, you know what I mean? You can't make it
fields
up.
were fine.
No.
but then it
Yeah, we
don't
just don't
start
want
to
to tear
rain
everything
now,
apart,
so-
yeah. Well, that's it, can't cut it over, so.
Has all the other work been done to the place where they're gonna go?
That's the problem. The heavy equipment has to come across the
Oh,
field in
okay.
order to
Do that?
move
Okay.
that, you know.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Lou, I have a question on the number 5, the asbestos abatement. And I was curious, moving forward, when you look at plans for old buildings, do the plans or to the architect's plans from years ago when that was built, did that list that asbestos was used? I don't even know when that
Probably not.
auditorium was built.
Probably not. I mean, it was done in the 1930 or whenever the building was
It
done.
was in 1930.
Yeah, so I don't even know if we have the original building plans, but anytime you're going into an old building like that, once you start taking walls down or ceilings down, you're gonna find something like that, and
I didn't realize it was that old.
yeah, I think it was 1930 or 31. But yeah, whenever you go, I mean, most old buildings like that, even your floor tiles were asbestos tiles, and if asbestos in the building is okay, but once you start demolition and you disturb it, then you have to abate anything, and you have to, and we have a contractor, or we have a professional that comes in and does the assessments for us. And the architect usually puts a contingency in his planning for everything, unexpected like that, so.
And just so you know, yeah, there's a whole process that's involved. I mean, the state monitoring agency comes in on site and reviews what we've done. No one is allowed in the building from Saturday morning until they say it's complete, until the air sampling is done. I mean, the asbestos sampling is done. Air sampling is done as part of that. There's sealed, the building will be sealed. There's a whole litany of processes that professionals that are involved in making sure that, besides the contractor that we hired to do the work, the actual abatement, that we have a consultant that we've been working with for 15 years that monitors his work, and then the state of New Jersey comes in and monitors that the consultant's doing what he's supposed to. So they take it very seriously, and so do we.
That's great. Thank you.
Questions? If not, roll call.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is policy, but there are no meetings, I don't think, and there's
Yeah,
no
the
action.
policy, we have a meeting coming up either March 31st or April 7th.
March 31st.
The committee needs to respond to Kathy Meehan on that.
Okay,
And
okay.
then we're on personnel.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
I'd like to make
A comment?
a couple comments. I don't think we've ever approved both collective bargaining contracts at the same time, but it's a first for this evening. So everybody's had the contracts in front of them. The contract negotiations went very well. I want to thank Joe and his team. Nobody's from administration here, but I want to thank them publicly. And anytime we do collective bargaining, nobody wins, nobody loses. You have to understand that. It's not a win-win, not a win. We both gain something. We both make advances in what we provide to each other. The board funds a lot of things, and the administration and the teachers and the staff run the school, so we're doing that. So, but I do want to say that what we're approving a 2.5% raise for the next 3 years for both organizations across the board. Now that will vary from person to person by the salary guide, so I think that's quite good with the cost of living that we have right now. In return, the board is getting, the employees will continue to pay what they're paying into healthcare. We've lowered the opt-out waiver by 1/3. We've given these extra days for staff. We've given the administrators some more time off. We've frozen all the stipends, and we've rebalanced the stipends, which was a huge thing. I've been on this board for 9 years, and the stipends that everybody gets to most of us here, looked way out of sync. I think everybody agreed, so we spent a lot of time. That was the hardest thing we did, to rebalance the stipend. So I want to thank Joe's team for working on that. They did a good job. The board did a good job. And they're not perfect, and we'll continue to change them. But I want to say, you know, we tried to make them as equitable as possible, which is impossible when you're dealing with over 100 stipends. So I want to thank everybody for that. So that's all I'm going to say. We will vote to approve these, and I'll let Donna, if she has anything else to say, since she is chairman of personnel.
I just, before we move on number 21, we need to just change a date on that to read, instead of, number 21B, instead of March 14th, it should read March 8th. She had her baby on that date. So she'll be out from March 8th until 6:30. And then we need to add a resolution, number 35, which I'm going to read because it was not put on the addendum. Resolved that the Somerset Hills Board of Education approve the termination of employee number 3161601, effective immediately. Did everyone get that? Do you need to read it again? You're all good? Okay. So with that said, I'd like to move action items 1 through 35, and then I just want to make a comment after whoever seconded it.
I'll second.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, to add on to what Bob said about negotiations, I was really happy to report that both of them, Shaw and Shea, are on the agenda tonight. And I really want to thank all the parties for coming to the table and having an open dialogue. It was one of the best negotiations we ever had. There was real communication that went on, and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you to you and your team, and same to the administrators. It was a successful negotiation.
So you know why it was so successful? Because it's my
because
first
you
year
were
on
on it.
negotiations. And I just brought in the light,
She
you
brought in
know,
the
and
love.
everyone was great, you know, and it was really, everyone said, oh, negotiations, don't get on that, you know, and it was good. I thought we had really good dialogue, and I just really want to commend, they're not going to take credit for it, but honestly, Bob and Donna did so much work on that stipend thing, which was just like, that is a nightmare to really do all the work that you did. You really did a lot of good work. And I think you know what, like you said, it's like negotiations. It's not always, everyone's not always going to be happy, but I think it was fair. And we try to make it as fair and equitable to everybody as we could. So generally speaking, most people got a little bit of a boost, you know, for the most part. And so I thought that was really fair. And I just want to, you know, again, commend the teachers that we worked with Joe, you know, tell your team that it was a pleasure really dealing with them. And really, I thought it really was very productive, so.
And then I just would like to comment on number 29. We have a retirement tonight, Elizabeth Whittle, high school teacher. We'd like to thank her for her service as well at our high school, for 12 years of service, so thank you, Mrs. Whittle. And that's it. Yep.
I do know, I just want to commend the committee as well, because I do know the hours that were spent on that. I do need to disclose I will be abstaining on the motions due to the fact that I am a member of NJEA and I had really no involvement in being able to suggest things or deal with things, so just to be upfront with that.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
I'll be abstaining items 1 through 16. Yes, on the others.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Abstain.
Okay. Do you want to abstain on everything, or do you only just want to abstain on 2?
Just on everything.
Okay. Sorry. Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mrs. Palazzolo?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Getz?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is supplementary matters. Did anybody have any supplementary matters to discuss? Yes, Nancy.
I just want to say that March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, so anyone who's 50 years old, you are playing with the ticking time bomb if you don't get a colonoscopy. It's really simple. We're about education. That's what it's about. So anyone who's your loved one or any your parents or whoever it is, you really need to tell them to go get a colonoscopy because I'm in, the fight of my life really against colon cancer. And it's the second time recurrence. My little nephew, he was 8 years old, gave this to me. I go, "Mom, where's my little blue bracelet he gave me, just to remember it." And so I just want everyone to say that it's one of those things that you can prevent. And sometimes you can't prevent it because sometimes you're too young because it's 50, and that's when they tell you go get a colonoscopy. That was before my time, so it was just bad luck on my part. But I just want to say that it's a totally preventable disease if you catch it early enough. And my younger sister got a colonoscopy, and she would have the same thing that I do, and she's got 2 younger kids. So I'm going to not be at the next board meeting, just to let everybody know I'm going to have surgery, so that's a good thing. That's what we were hoping for. So hopefully they'll take out the 2 lymph nodes that they found, and I'll be back in May. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe not. You know me, I can't stay at home. I get bored. It's like whatever. So anyways, I just want to remember, so I probably won't be here at the next. I won't be at the next meeting because the next day I've been having surgery on April 20th at Sloan Kettering. So I'm really excited about that. So that's really good news. So serious about this. Audience,
You can watch us
50
on
years old.
tape.
I will. I'm sure I won't be watching that. I might be, but I can't promise it, Bob. I know it's always exciting. So anyway, so just do yourself a favor and do your loved ones a favor. Okay?
Thank you. Just want to announce that we're having next month on the 23rd in the Burners High parking lot, we're having Electronics Recycling Day. So
What day is it, Bob?
Our
What's
fifth,
the day?
the April 23rd, our 5th recycling. So it's open to anybody to bring your televisions, your old computers.
The time?
8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay, and it will be it's in the Friday folder
And it's on the website.
on the website, and the school gets to get rid of a lot of their old stuff too. So anybody in the school will give it over to Nancy and accumulate it. Any other supplementary matters? I will open it up to the public for questions and comments. For anybody who has that. Sure.
Just so I can do the camera at the same time. Sorry, doubling up is never easy. I apologize. This is actually the most nervous I've ever been to talk before. I'm John Semino. Obviously, you guys know me as the board guy, the board cameraman, but I'm also the head football coach here. And I apologize. I'm very bad at talking about myself. This fall, at age 37, I was fortunate enough to become the winningest coach in the history of Burners High School. And I can tell you, after 106 years, my parents, one who volunteers here, are very proud. I'm not here on my behalf, though. Instead of the 5 men who work as assistant coaches under me. These men have helped me achieve that goal, that personal goal, but helped us win 3 championships, helped us have the only 5-year winning span in school history, 3 Somerset County Coach of the Year awards, an Assistant Coach of the Year award, a Giants Coach of the Week grant that came with money for the school. It made us the best team in Somerset County in the last 5 years. Winning's obviously not the only motivation, our desired outcome of coaching scholastic sports. They've helped me make our program safer. If you've watched things on the news about football, everything's really scary right now. We learned how to tackle in a new manner by spending time with the Rutgers coaches and at clinics, on our own time. Manning the weight room year-round, because the biggest thing we learned was that players are being bigger and stronger and more flexible is the safest way to guard against concussions, something that scares all of us. Something very near and dear to my heart. I suffered 9 of them in my career. They helped me schmooze numerous football parents into things here. An $80,000 weight room that brought everything up into safety standards and allows us to train them. A $20,000 sound system for Old Cop Field that, if you guys remember graduations from a couple of years ago, well, I think everything sounds a little clearer out there now. Very nice, state-of-the-art scoreboard out there, and guys, all those meetings and planning took more hours and begging and schmoozing than I care to mention, and I can tell you it didn't happen easily. It helped us send players into the Big Ten, the Ivy, Patriot, Northeast, and Little Ivy conferences, as well as numerous other places bringing recognition to the school. And it's not just football stuff. 2 years ago, they helped us raise the second most amount of money in the country for the NFL's Crucial Catch program during our Pink Out game. So only one other school in the country beat us. 2 years ago, when we went to Roselle, opposing coaches and fans punched one of them. They called another one a racial slur that I won't even attempt to mention. They threatened us that the Bloods were coming to shoot us. We handled that situation well, kept it fairly out of the news, and handled one of the scariest moments I've ever had in my coaching career. But tomorrow I get the unenviable task of letting y'all know that we'll be the only coaching staff in the school district, but we will all take a pay cut for the next 3 years. I don't know how you want me to tell them that. Our season is 6 months long. You see us out on Old Cut in June, and we close out on Thanksgiving. I can't tell them to work less. We coach a sport, and we're a mere 30 miles away in our conference. A player died this fall. It was all over the news. It happened in front of 3,000 fans. So I can't ask them to work less. The hardest part of all this, I won't be able to tell them why. If I ask my union, they'll say it was the board. If I ask the board, I'm sure they'll say it was my union. On top of it, we have to look around us at Old Cop Field and look at programs where other coaches were given raises. And we were told to take less. I don't think anything will come out of what I say. I don't expect a response. I hope you hear it in my voice, though. That is probably the hardest thing I've had to accept in all my time here. I hope everybody did the due diligence that they said they did. I hope everything was taken into account. Nothing changes. I love my job. You win. Even if I'm not here, someone else will come in and do it well. I'm a coach. You're hired to be fired, and you're on a one-year contract every year. But that's the reality of it. I don't have it. When I tell them tomorrow that we've all got to show up to work tomorrow for less without a reason why, that's a very hard thing to do. I don't expect an answer. I don't expect any response. I just felt that for all that hard work, not from me, but that those guys put in, I had to say something publicly. As I'm sure you guys feel the same way as bosses when you fight for your employees. I know they're not technically my employees, but they're the people that report to me, and I'm responsible for. So that's it. Thanks for letting me cut you off to the podium. Sorry about that. It's way easier to go. I'll go back to being cameraman now.
My name is Richard Diamond. Some of you may know me. I was involved with the high school football program on the school side for the booster program when John's first year, coaching here. And the one thing that I did when I took over as the president of the high school football booster program was change how we did business. I dealt with Linda Craigie from the program here, and she commented she never actually had anybody who read the regulations, who actually sat down with her to make sure procedurally things were done properly. What I did, and I think John will be the first to acknowledge, was I said it's transparency. You work with transparency, you honor procedure. I changed all the bylaws so that everybody knew what the regulations were. Everybody worked with the same rules. You do it properly. Now, the executive session met to discuss certain HIV allegations that were raised, something to do with the Superintendent Wood, and I had communications with the board's counsel. And I suggested that that not take place. I suggested it not take place. I'm not going to discuss the substance of it. I'm going to discuss the procedure.
HIV in public.
I'm discussing simply a procedure. I'm not going to discuss the allegations. I understand procedure. What I'm addressing is the fact that you have a superintendent. Again, I have a superintendent who actually is speaking to the board president when I'm actually trying to speak. And the problem is I addressed this to council for the board and suggested that what she has done is actually put each member of this board
No.
in an ethical...
Sir, you're giving your opinion right
I'm
now.
giving my opinion.
Our council advised you, and...
No, council didn't answer the question, and I'm addressing it this way. I'm simply saying that there was an issue raised as to the ethical issues presenting the board members. And I said, if council wants to address it to you, to make sure before you have that meeting, you're aware of the legal significance, the ethics issues. And I raised that for this reason, and of course I'm not going to address the substance. Dr. Wood wrote a letter. Her letter is dated, yes.
I'm not going to let you go. This is a path you cannot go down, okay?
Why can't I make a comment about what Dr. Wood said was going to be the role of this board? She has said, again, Dr. Wood is going to continue to interrupt.
Sir, we're not going to discuss this issue.
Fine. I'm not understanding. If I have the right to make my comments and I'm not addressing the substance of an HIB allegation, but simply identifying from a procedural standpoint the fact that Dr. Wood wrote that it's going to be this board's decision. This board is making a decision. I have her letter. Now, my understanding is boards do not interfere with the operation of the school. Now, I have a letter from Dr. Wood where she says it is going to be this board rendering the decision, not the appeal issue, the decision. If, in fact, that took place, she has now put each member of this board in an ethical problem. And I identified it. I'm not addressing the substance. I've said you don't have the right. I said, doctor, if you wish to make the decision, make your decision. But don't put the board in the middle of this. And unfortunately, I'm to understand that she's done so.
Thank you very much for your opinion.
Thank you.
I'd like a motion to adjourn. We're going to go into executive session to talk about some contracts.
One copy of the letter?
No.
From Dr. Wood identifying your role? I'm happy to provide it to board members.
We know our role.
Exactly, that's the point.
I understand, you understand your role.
Sir, we are all trained in all board aspects. You don't need to educate us, please.
So if in fact, every one of you have gone through meetings where the discussion is boards are not allowed to interfere and make decisions in the school. You're allowed to consider appeals, but not render decisions. So when Dr. Wood writes a letter telling all these people who are involved that, in fact, this board is going to be rendering the decision, you're going to suggest to me that you understand your role.
We understand.
So if an ethics complaint is filed against you tomorrow for Dr. Wood's actions, I'm putting you on notice of what Dr. Wood has done, not what you people are trying to do as board members. She makes a decision. I understand we have a right of appeal. The appeal goes to you. I can handle that. I'm okay with that. The difference is proper procedure. If, in fact, this is what she wrote, and she's asked you to participate in that process, she's put you at risk. That was my point.
Ma'am.
Corey Edwards, Fort Hill Road from Bedminster. I just had a couple questions with tuition and how you guys come up with the tuition that Bedminster School pays per student to come for the high school. Just sort of how that number that you guys come with, the tuition.
How much detail do you want?
Well, okay, maybe
We
there's.
give you a book like this.
Okay, I
or
guess I
you want
would
a
like the
thumbnail?
book, but.
You want a thumbnail?
Yeah, a thumbnail, please.
Okay. Mrs. Hunter will give you a really quick answer.
But there's 3 questions,
Okay.
so I'll let them all go so maybe they can get the thumbnail together. And the other question is, do we pay the same per student amount as the Bernard's students pay? And do we pay to the Somerset Hills School District an amount, so I think it's like 16.5 now, and I think it's going up. I'm not sure the exact amount. So that goes to the Somerset Hills District, and that funds all the schools, right? Bedwell.
No.
So does the money that we pay in tuition go directly just to the high school?
Yes.
It doesn't get into a general fund? Okay, that was my question, and the thumbnail maybe.
Okay. So the way that the tuition is calculated, there's two parts to it. The first is we do an estimated tuition, and the business administrator of Bedminster tells me how many students she thinks that she's going to have, and I give her an estimate per student based on prior year, based on looking at the prior year amount that we spent, based on what I know is coming up in the budgeted year, and based on the actual settlement, which is a settlement we do every 3 years. And but when the final calculation is done, it's extremely detailed. If we take line by line every item in the budget and allocate it according to grades, kindergarten 1 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. And that allocation is done based on the number of students in each of those grades. So line by line throughout the whole budget, we allocate that. At the end, we come up with a total. That total is divided by the total number of kids, and then that comes up with a cost per child. And then that's applied to the actual daily enrollment. So it's not actually, like right now, let's say she estimates that the number of children she's sending is 400. When the year is over, so in December, let's say, so we're doing 16, 17, we're budgeting for. So we won't settle that until December of 17, until 6 months after the school year ended. We'll actually look at how much we spent line by line, audited financials, and we look at the average daily enrollment, which is a report that comes out on June 30th. So it's based on how many kids are actually in school. So we multiply one by the other, and then there's a settlement. So if you estimated, we estimated too high, then we owe you money. If we estimated too low, then you owe us money. So there's some.
So, and is it the same price per student in the sense of a Bernard student and a Bedminster student?
So when you say a Barton student, you mean somebody that lives in Bermansville?
Right. I just didn't know, like, when you guys do.
If there was somebody coming from the outside that wanted to attend our school district, we use the exact same rate that we charge Bedminster. Yes.
And is it, so it would be different, but it is a
Well,
different rate. I guess it's complicated.
It's complicated because in Burnersville, you're paying for all the students in all 3 schools. So it gets melded in, and there are certain things that Bedminster is not paying for in the high school. So there's not an individual rate for school. We get taxed. The 3 towns that are represented here, you saw on the slide before, get taxed at that rate.
So you have just a blanket fee for all?
It's not a fee, it's a tax.
No, I know, a tax, but so when you calculate the students, say when you take it out of the general fund, it's per the same Bedwell, middle school, high school, or, so what is the difference?
Well, if you read the
between
paper the other
those
day,
two?
in the Burnersville News had, or maybe it was Star Ledger, had an article about, if you look on your tax bill, you'll say how much percent of your taxes go to the schools. Burnersville is 56% of the taxes. In Peapack Gladstone, it's a lower number on the percentage, because you have county tax, you've got municipal tax, and you got a library tax. Bedminster is the lowest of all these towns on a percent basis of what you pay out of the total.
Right.
So.
Can I answer in another way?
Yeah, you can answer another way.
I mean, no one in Bernardsville pays tuition per student.
No, I understand that.
So
But
we don't even.
You kind of have a number where you
Right, I mean,
break
there's
everything down. It's obviously they're not paying, but it's sort of
Right,
how
I mean,
you
there's
do your
a-
accounting to make.
Right, there's a tuition calculation that comes out per student, and that number is usually higher than the number that we charge to Bedminster if I was to do that just for high school, because there are certain things, as Bob was saying, that our district pays
Shared
for that
sources.
Bedminster doesn't. And the biggest piece of that is the principal on any building project. So Bedminster only pays the interest portion of that. The other 3 towns pay principal and interest. And that's all driven by the law. It's not anything that we're coming up with, it's just what's in code. So.
And also the transportation is
Transportation.
not included
Right.
in their cost.
Right, we don't
So
charge you any transportation.
You pay your own transportation costs for the high school students.
Right.
So in our calculation per student, our transportation would be in there, so it would be higher than what the 16.5 or whatever it is that you pay to us, because then you have the transportation portion of it also.
Correct.
That-
Can I just clarify, we keep saying our calculation, but it's
But
a
it's
state
not,
calculation. Like, we don't come up with the calculation to make tuition, there's a state formula, and that's how it's calculated. So I don't want it to sound like we created a formula, it's
And then after
mandated by-
that formula, then she gets audited. It's like doing your income tax. You have to have a it's trued up after the fact. Sometimes we owe Bedminster some more money back, sometimes they owe us.
And that amount comes up in June.
It comes up
Doesn't
every
go-
2 years.
Well, it's almost, it's not finalized until December following the end of that school year. So because our audit is not complete until December, so let's say in the year we're in right now, right? So June of 16, our books will close, but then we're not actually audited until next December. So the final calculation isn't until next December or January,
So
by the
if you
time the
owe
state
us
comes
the
out.
money back, you won't know until December.
Right, January, it's actually January by the time the state, because the state looks at that calculation that I do. I send them all the spreadsheets, it's an Excel packet like this thick, and I send it to them. They look at it and they approve the rate, and they send the rate, a copy of it to me and a copy to Bedminster.
And it's an every 2 year.
It's actually every year, but it's almost like what we're talking about is almost a 2-year delay when you look at the time that we're from the time we're estimating to the time we're finalized.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? We need a motion for adjournment, and we'll go into.
No, we need a motion to go into executive.
Well, you need a-
Motion to go into executive.
Second. Motion to go
I
into executive.
second.
I apologize.
And no action afterwards.
And no action. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I said hopefully I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.